Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wonderful Wednesdays with WendyY. I am WendyY Bailey. Let me turn my camera and move, all that good stuff. I'm WendyY Bailey, your income acceleration mentor, and I'm just sort of rough today, you guys. I don't have on any makeup, and I'm okay with that if you are. But I wanted to host this snack size content session with you today, all about your selling conversations. I actually put a poll in the group a couple of days ago because I wanted to find out what you want to hear about, what your concerns are. And one of the top elements of that poll that surfaced was you want to know how to grow confident in your selling. So today's Wonderful Wednesdays with WendyY session, that's me, is all about how you can look at four very specific things that do not belong in your sales conversation and move toward things that really do belong in your sales conversation. So let me tell you, first of all, that when you are authentic in your sales conversations, that's at the heart of everything else that flows from your conversation, from your expression, from how you support your client in that sales conversation. And even when you start to get into that transaction piece, and that's the piece that most people fear most, is that transaction piece. But even when you are authentic in that transaction piece of your sales conversation, then everything else flows from who you truly are. Okay? If you are the person who is scared to death of asking for the business, and your confidence in expressing that question is not strong, it's going to show up in how you ask for the business, not just in the transaction piece, but in everything that leads up to that opportunity when you shift into that transaction piece. So it starts with you. That's really what I'm saying, you guys. It starts with you. When you look in the mirror and you ask yourself, who am I as a salesperson? What do I do in the way of service? How do I support my client? How do I express compassion for my client? All of those questions will lead you to authenticity in your sales conversations. So if you're wondering, what are the four things that don't belong? Salesy. Because I came from a sales background. Let me just tell you, in another life, I came from a sales background. I sold copiers, I sold crystal and china and cookware and housewares. And when you're in that selling mode, what happens is they teach you language that is sales jargon. They talk to you about pitching, and they talk to you about closing, and they talk to you about things that to me are like salesy jargon. And even though I lived that life in the past, like many years ago, I was a salesperson, what I've learned in the 15 years of being an entrepreneur about sales is a conversation, and it doesn't just happen with the transaction. And the language that I use is more about who I am and how I want to serve and support my client than about making sure I say the right word. Okay. So salesy doesn't belong in your sales conversation. So get rid of the sales jargon. Get rid of the sales jargon. Let me go here. Salesy doesn't belong in your conversations. Okay, so that's the first thing. Get rid of salesy in your sales conversation. The next one that doesn't belong is sleazy. Sleazy doesn't belong in your sales conversation. Sleazy is when you are really trying to manipulate and control the conversation, and you kind of are being slimy. And I can't think of another way to think of it. You're being sort of out of integrity in how you are conversing with your ideal client. So you've got to stay in integrity. You've got to be who you are. You've got to be honest about what's happening. Let me give you a quick example. Yesterday, I launched the website for my upcoming conference, Play Bigger Now 2017 in October. And as part of the website and part of the event, I've been having conversations with people who are interested in serving as speakers for the event in different levels in different places. And I've just learned that Slimey doesn't belong in any sales conversation. And for me, that means I'm saying to people, this is how much it costs to invest. This is what you're going to get. And here are the things that I put in place to make sure you receive a return on your investment. That's integrity. But I've noticed there are some people who have come back and said, so let me make sure I understand what you're saying. Are you saying that I have to pay this or I have to pay again when I do that? It's because they're accustomed to dealing with salespeople that they do business with who are slimy, who are not above board about what they offer, who are not delivering on what they commit. Slimy shows up when you are out of integrity. So let me make sure I put that here. Slimy doesn't belong. Slimy shows up in your sales conversations when you're out of integrity. So maintain honesty and be clear about what you're saying. And I believe in being very direct even sometimes. When people make an investment, I know what I can commit to and I let them know what I commit to. When there are concerns, I express those out loud. I don't like passive aggressive behavior, so that's not what I do in my sales conversations. So what I'm saying to you is salesy is the sales jargon. No sales jargon is allowed in your sales conversations. Slimy is when you're being dishonest and trying to be manipulative and you're out of integrity. And then the third thing is sleazy. Sleazy is akin to slimy. Sleazy is let me just do whatever I can, promise whatever I can, and over promise and under deliver. That's what sleazy is. It's another form of being out of integrity, and it just doesn't belong in your sales conversations. When you are transparent, sleazy should be replaced by total transparency. I'm telling you, when you can replace sleazy with transparency, people get to know, like, trust you on a whole deeper level. Every time I'm in a sales conversation with someone, I let them know, here's what I want out of it, and here's what I want you to get out of it. I want you to get out of it this because I see the opportunity for you to grow. This is the benefit I know you're going to experience. This is what I know you want. We've talked about that. If it's a coaching relationship, that's how my conversation goes. So replace sleazy with transparency, okay? And then the last one I want to talk to you about, I talked about salesy, I talked about slimy, I talked about sleazy, and now I'm going to talk about pushy. Pushy is when you're like, I know you want to do this, you got 10 minutes to do it. Sense of urgency is like you paint the picture that you're going to take it away from them if they don't respond. I'm not really comfortable with that. I believe in having just very honest, authentic, above board conversations about what's really expected. And I've even gone so far at times to say to my potential client, the person that I'm talking with in the sales conversation, I need you to do this yesterday, but I want to know what you feel like you can do and how you feel like you can handle it. Now, does that mean I'm not going to ask questions? I'm not going to challenge them if fear surfaces, if their objections are something that I know are really founded in fear? No. What it means is I'm not going to be manipulative in my effort to address the objections. Okay. So pushy should be replaced with conversation, compassion, and concern for the client. You can be transparent, you can be honest, you can connect with the client and find out exactly what's going on, what fears are surfacing that have caused them to share the objections. Now, let me say something about that. Every potential client won't be honest with you about what's really happening in their world. I've been through so many situations where I just knew that the client was ready. I wasn't sleazy, salesy, slimy, sleazy, or pushy in the conversation, but I knew that we were ready. They were ready. I was ready. The transaction was about to happen. And then I left them to something. And then within 24 hours, 48 hours, a couple of days or whatever, they didn't respond the way that they said they would. That happens. And what I find typically happens in that situation, what's really going on when the client is in that space, they haven't been honest with you about their ability, first of all, to either pay you or invest in you. And they haven't been honest about what their real fears are with you. So let me boil it down to what happens in the sales conversation. When that kind of thing happens, it means you are not really in rapport with the client. And you have to be, like you must be in rapport with your client if you want to actually close the sale. I'm going to use sales jargon for just a second. If you want to conclude your transaction with the client, you must be in rapport with them. And if it's lacking in any shape, form, or fashion in your sales conversation, then you can walk away feeling like the sale is complete and it's not. Or you can walk away feeling like you missed something, like you didn't pay attention to something. And it's because you weren't in rapport. Being in rapport is at the very heart of every sales completion. So when you are in rapport, that means that the client knows you, likes you, trusts you. You're having a transparent conversation. You're having a conversation that's steeped in compassion and concern and caring. You're showing up in integrity. And for whatever reason, despite you showing up that way, something was awry in your connection with the client. The know, like, trust factor wasn't solid. So there's an opportunity for you to learn a lesson from that. Pay attention to what's said, pay attention to what's not said, ask questions, pace your conversation with your ideal client in a way that shows your support and your concern and your caring. And at the end of the day, if you're doing those kinds of things, then what's going to happen with the client is they're going to grow to know, like, trust you that much more. They're going to share what's really, really going on. And when that happens, I love it because even if it doesn't work out in that particular situation, it can work out in future relationships because sales are really about relationship. Business is really about relationship. So your goal in any kind of sales conversation, in any kind of connection where you are inviting a client to work with you, it's got to be about the relationship. So if you don't hear anything that I said for the last 15 minutes, relationship is the key to having a really solid sales conversation that completes with a transaction. I love being here every Wednesday. I'm going to be continuing to look back at the poll and come up with the topics. I'm doing this because I want you guys to really experience what selling, marketing, mindset mastery are all about. So please join me if you can. Hey, Carlin, glad you're here. Thank you so much for that. Join me if you can live. If you're watching on the replay, I'm going to go back and look at the comments and respond to your comments. But remember, sales is all about relationships. So when you're successful in your sales conversations, you know you've got a solid relationship with that person. Okay. You know you've got a solid relationship. And if for whatever reason it doesn't work and you know that you were in integrity, you were compassionate, you were really operating with a spirit of service and concern and caring for the client, then you might want to check the rapport in the relationship, and that'll make all the difference in the world. This is WendyY Bailey. I'm your income acceleration mentor, and I'm here every Wednesday around 3:30 p.m. Eastern to talk with you about a topic related to mindset mastery, marketing messaging, and sales scripting. I want to make sure you guys know that I just opened the doors for my upcoming event. It's called Play Bigger Now 2017, and you can go there. I'm going to be sharing a lot of tools and information as time moves forward to give you a glimpse into what you can expect at this one-of-a-kind event. It's a sales and marketing conference, an income acceleration experience. It's designed to give you sales strategy, marketing messaging techniques and tips and tools. It's not a dog and pony show. It truly is designed to help you activate on some content, implement on some strategies that are designed to help you reach your next level of financial success. I hope you'll check it out. Sign up for the free offer that I have there on the site. And I look forward to seeing you around Facebook and other places in social media. Make your comments here, and I'll be glad to respond to them in the group. Be sure to share with your friends and let them know that we are getting content, like I'm sharing content with you every single week, Wednesdays with me, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, guys, so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.